Hi, my name is Elise Patterson, founder, executive, and artistic director of Abilities Dance Boston. We're so thrilled to have you for our 2025 production of Branches. This is a virtual only production where choreographers and dancers never met in person but connected virtually across state lines and time zones within all of our home spaces to create the works that you see and experience today. These works have been created by our dancers or guest artists with choreography by Claire Lane, Dara Capley, Vanessa Cruz, and Leslie Taub. I also want to give thanks to our composer, Erin Rogers, who created the entirety of the music that you will see or experience today, as well as our audio descriptions editor, Amber Piercy, who helped to edit the audio descriptions along with the choreographers and make sure that the balance of movement and narration was just so. And Chris Robinson, who is in the corner, who is interpreting our words today, all in an effort to make this work even more accessible. And an even special shout out to Liberty Mutual Foundation, who commissioned this work and has allowed us to make sure that we can continue to pay our artists, access team, and administrators to do the work that we do. A lot of people wonder why virtual in 2025, and I want to highlight that for many of us, this is essential. The pandemic is still ongoing, and while there is less and less opportunities for folks to experience work, much less create work virtually, we still want to have space where there can be that space for our artists and for our audiences to gather in this way. So thank you for being a part of that experience as well. I hope that you are excited, inspired, and engaged by the works that you see. I hope that you see in this intersection of climate justice and disability justice that all of the choreographers have experienced in some way, and that they will also get into further in their intros before their pieces. That you can continue to think about the very real toll that all this takes, and that we have to consider all of these intersecting themes if we're going to ever dismantle any of them. So with that, enjoy.
Hello, my name is Vanessa Cruz. A visual description. I'm a Chicana woman. I currently have my black hair down. I have pink bangs. I'm wearing silver rimmed glasses. I have caramel skin. I'm wearing a dark red lipstick. I have gold eyeshadow on. I'm wearing a long sleeve black mesh blouse. I'm in front of a white wall with a lamp behind me. I am one of the choreographers for Branches 2025. The title of my work is If Only We Could, a ritual of remembrance and a call for change. This work serves as a reminder of the countless disabled lives that have passed away due to natural disasters because of the lack of emergency evacuation plans for disabled people. Greenhouse, who is the soloist for this work, channels a disabled soul inside a natural disaster, and where unfortunately this disabled soul never makes it. This then morphs into a beautiful ritual that honors all the disabled people who have passed away due to the lack of access in natural disaster evacuation plans that currently exist in many parts of the world. Oftentimes, when catastrophic events happen at large, people become numbers. And so, through this work, I want to remind us and to the people who can create the necessary changes to increase the survival rates of disabled people that we deserve better and that we shouldn't be forgotten when natural disasters occur. I hope you join us in honoring all the disabled lives that never had the chance to make it out of these natural disasters.
If Only We Could, a ritual of remembrance and a call for change, choreographed by Vanessa Hernandez Cruz, danced by Greenhouse.
Greenhouse is lying in their enclosed, natural disaster-ridden space. They slowly sit in disorientation, and they begin looking at their hands, wondering if they escaped or if they are stuck there forever. They bring their hands together in a prayer that rises up through the haze as they then collapse their torso onto their lap. They slowly rise up to standing. They walk forward, pushing through the haze of smoke and debris. And they suddenly lunge back into a huddled position as they cover their head with their arms. They begin circling the space, trying to understand what happened. As they circle their space, they leave their hand inside the circle, rotating their wrist back and forth. As they reach the back of their room, they look up as their hands grasp at their neck, feeling the suffocating fumes. Replaying their memories, they collapse their chest and cover their face with their hands, and they open their hands like a double-sided window. Recalling they never made it out, they begin running forward and then they collapse onto the floor. They crawl back quickly as they get up and begin running in circles, touching the ends of their room. They spiral in place and begin running again. Frantically, they begin peeling off all of the debris itching through their skin. They begin running again as they roll their body down to the floor, as they recall the pain they had to endure. Their story ends. The ritual begins. Greenhouse begins reaching towards a burgundy fabric near them that represents a disabled soul that has passed on from this earth. A movement improvisation begins. There are countless of disabled souls who have yet to cross the plane to rest in peace, since so many have been left behind during natural disaster occurrences. Knowing this, Greenhouse conjures up these unknown spirits through this fabric and dances with them in the most loving and gentle ways. There are moments of cradling, letting the fabric souls catch the wind as it floats around the space. Moments of expanding and collapsing, allowing the spirits to be held with the purpose of guiding these spirits to freedom. Greenhouse then runs in a spiral, holding onto the souls, and then runs in place in a circle as they embrace the souls, and then they stand in stillness, hugging the fabric soles. They place their fabric ceremoniously across the floor. They grab a few things: a bag filled with love notes to the disabled souls that have passed on due to natural disasters, a jar of dirt, and a poem written to the souls. They grab the jar of dirt and then sprinkle dirt to the fabric, starting in the center, then to the left, and then to the right. They set the jar down. A poem audio begins as Greenhouse sways side to side as they embrace the sheet of paper with the poem.
My dear friend, while we have not met in the traditional sense, I do feel connected to you and think of you often. It seems impossible to fathom the scope of loss, millions gone from disaster, and I only know the names of a few. Still, I set my sights on building a future that could have held you from the very beginning. I find this to be the right sized work for my heart. I hope that this art, this energy, sends out a wave of love for the world so great that it has no choice but to find you, wherever you are. All my love, Greenhouse.
Greenhouse grabs lit LED candles and places them in an arc on top of the fabric. They then grab the bag of love notes and goes around their space in a circle, sprinkling them around. They arrive in the center and kneel down with their heads down and in silence. We reserve a moment of silence. The ritual ends.
Hi, my name is Claire Lane. I use she, her pronouns, and I am the choreographer of Rooted Kinship. I'm a white woman in her late 20s with brunette hair pulled back in a clip, curly bangs, and a black top. I choreographed Rooted Kinship in collaboration with my dancers Trinity Stevens, Joshua Swift, and Ansley Hendricks. The sound score is composed by Erin Rogers. Rooted Kinship explores how the intelligence and bond between trees provides a metaphor for how we enact systems of care, reciprocity, and resilience in our lives. My work is largely inspired by research conducted by forest ecologist Suzanne Simard in her book Finding the Mother Tree, and disability and environmental rights scholar Sonara Taylor in her book Disabled Ecologies. Both of these authors point to the importance of creating root networks of mutual aid to help humans navigate the challenges of climate change and natural disasters. In the forest, the roots of different tree species intertwine to form something known as the mycorrhizal fungal networks. This is a mutualistic, symbiotic relationship that exists between trees and fungus, wherein the fungus grow between the roots of the trees, providing them with nutrients and water, while the tree shares up to 1/3 of the sugar that it produces through photosynthesis with the fungi. The trees use this network to communicate with each other, they share water and nutrients with each other, and they even send chemical defense signals to protect each other from disease and foreign insects. Trees are not a species of competition by nature, and they support each other almost unconditionally. They make sure that they and the surrounding trees have an optimal microclimate for their survival. It is also important for members of a forest, all members, including old and dying trees, even in some cases tree stumps, to survive, because it helps trees retain their wisdom and pass it on to future generations. One of the most surprising facts I learned through my research was that in forests, speed is always a negative. So trees actually slow their own growth rate to make sure seedlings around them have the most favorable conditions to grow. You will see this reflected in the slow and sustained nature of my choreography. In the process of creating this work, I asked my dancers to create movement phrases based on their memories with trees and the characteristics of their favorite tree species. And we also looked at images together of mycorrhizal fungal networks to create intertwining, interlocking movement motifs. Please enjoy Rooted Kinship.
Rooted Kinship, choreographed by Claire Lane, danced by Hensley Hendricks, Trinity Stevens, and Joshua Swift.
Ansley, Trinity, and Joshua appear on screen, only their lower legs in view. They pedal through their feet 8 times with the legs raised in the air, waking up their body's root system that keeps them connected to the earth and to each other. They roll to their backs on their right side, sitting up and delicately wrapping their left hand around their left ankle. Like a tree transporting sugar from its roots, they glide their hand up the shin to touch the palm behind their head. Hand circles around the head to cup their cheek in their palm. Turning to face the front, arms rise and fall like billowing boughs. They cup the hands together, scooping water to their hearts, tracing fingertips to the shoulders and arcing the arms wide open. Anchoring to rise, they step back as they alternate curling the left fingertips. Right, left, then right. Left arm stretches down to the earth, picking up soil and sprinkling it as they rise. Right hand traces around the head and down the left arm. Right knee entangles over the left, then circles to a lunge. Crossed wrists spiral open like unfurling leaves absorbing the sunlight. Right fingertips touch the right shoulder and dancers draw a circle with their elbow. Right heel digs into the earth, sending signals to the right elbow to curve overhead and meet the left arm together in front of their torsos. Arms rise and fall, elbows peel wide to find a wide-legged trunk. They root down to lift their left bent knee, circling the leg around to brush front, back, front, back. They brush the left leg side and let their weight fall, arms following the overcurve of the body to swoop circularly from left to right. Stepping forward, the left arm reaches toward the camera, palm flips open to the sunlight and taps the left shoulder to trace a circle with the elbow. Arms flick like skittering leaves, turning and pulling the elbows wide like abundant tree crowns. Like a breathing forest canopy, they exhale and head melts forward into the palms. Inhaling, they open the elbows wide.
Forearms walk like a stepladder down the body to a forward fold. Right then left palm caresses the back of their shoulder blades, and they encircle the elbows together. They knock the left then right elbow open like a pendulum and bring the hands together, fingertips pronged like a root system. They sway to the right slightly, repeating again with more force, wrapping their arms around their bodies and sending their root-like fingertips yawning wide towards the camera. One by one, the dancers move in canon. Ansley begins, intertwining her fingers and sending the elbows wide. Her forehead peeks under the palms and she cups her cheeks tenderly. Trinity joins while Ansley places her hands across her body, attentive to the signals she's receiving through her roots from the trees around her. As Joshua joins in, Ansley traces a protective circle around her foot and reaches her arms wide like branches, contracting her fingertips into her heart to make space for other limbs in the forest around her. Trinity and Joshua melt off screen while Ansley stays standing, solitary. Ansley brings her arms skyward like the boughs of her favorite maple tree. She bends her knees and stretches to her tiptoes twice. She kicks her left leg front, back, and side, then trickles her fingertips down like sticky sap. Trinity joins in, trickling their fingers down while Ansley melts off screen. Palms together, Trinity brings arms up like a prayer, peeling the fingertips open in a wide circle. Arms sway left to right like branches of their favorite willow tree dancing in the breeze. Left arm reaches up and fingertips interlaced circle around the head. Right arm swings like a pendulum and the left arm curves overhead with the palms facing outward like boughs providing shelter to the creatures of the forest floor. Trinity melts off screen and Joshua begins their solo. Left then right arms scoop across the chest. Palms meet together at the heart and push outward to the camera. Arms reach up high, then swing open like fruit falling from their favorite peach tree. Trinity and Ansley stand to join Joshua in this repetitive motion, arms flinging open right, then left. They peel open the right arm and the left arm like leaf-filled branches drooping down. Palms open in front of the chest and they break twice, sharply. They tilt to the left and press the arms open like roots spreading into the soil. Torsos bow forward from exertion. Arms unfurl like a new sapling emerging from the earth. The left arm traces across the chest to meet both palms together, fingertips splayed wide like roots. They draw a circle with bent elbows and interlock the fingers, clasping the hands together and circling the palms around the back of the head. The arms form a circle like a ring in a tree trunk. They paddle the arms and poke their head through the negative space, turning to face the back. They let their fingertips unclasp and caress the back of their neck. Left fingertips wrap around the right shoulder, and right palm trails to the low back, finding a protective embrace. Trinity spirals their right fingertips towards the camera to face the front. As they tread the feet on the floor, the arms scoop overhead, and left leg extends forward. They sprinkle soil with their right hand and bring the elbows to a wide bent angle like a majestic willow. Trinity stills, unwavering. Ansley spirals her right fingertips to pull her to the front. Taking knowledge from the trees around her, she gathers her arms together and kicks the left leg front, side, and back. She brings her arms high and twirls, letting the arms slowly drip to her sides, dispersing her own wisdom back to the trees in her environment. Ansley stills. Joshua spirals their right fingertips forward to pull them to face front. Left arm trails up the left side of the body and traces around the head. The right arm reaches across and pulls to a high diagonal. They reach the arms from one end to another as if sending signals from their roots to their topmost buds. Fingertips pool like they are cupping water to the chest, and palms flip open on the forehead in a cleansing motion. The arms reach to a diagonal line, basking in the abundance of the support and resilience they gain in community with their neighbor trees. Trinity, Ansley, and Joshua join back in unison, walking their left fingertips up the right forearm. Elbow spirals open and arms cradle together, rocking side to side in an understanding of mutual care. Left arm reaches low to the front like roots digging deep, while the right arm reaches high behind them like a tree canopy seeking the sun. They reach between two polar ends, giving and taking. They gather the arms tightly to the chest and unfurl them with wide elbows, sturdy and steadfast. As birds chirp in the background, dancers ripple their torsos front to back 4 times, moved by the murmur of the wind. They reach their arms to the camera and wrap themselves in an embrace. These trees have intelligence beyond the capacity of the human eye, and they invite us to slow down, listen, and learn from them if we want to build bonds of solidarity and live lives of rooted kinship.
Hi, my name is Dara. I use she, her pronouns, and I'm a medium-sized white woman with a lot of long dark hair and eyes that squint a lot when I smile. I am so excited for you to see the piece that I've made for Branches this year. It is called Heat Cycles and explores a lot of things to do with climate change and rising heat. Specifically, we talked a lot about SSRIs and other mental health medication. These medications, almost all, carry the side effect of extreme heat sensitivity. And in a world that's only growing hotter, having to sacrifice your physical well-being and safety, as heat stroke is real, dehydration, extreme dehydration is real. So the idea that you need to sacrifice your physical safety and well-being in order for your mental safety and well-being feels wrong, not great. And we talked quite a bit about something called heat islands, which is what most cities are, as cities are statistically hotter than a lot of more rural areas, areas with less concrete, areas with more trees, and how a lot of these mental health resources are in cities. That is usually where hospitals are and a lot of doctors and things like that. So it all just feels a bit cyclical, a bit like one thing fuels another, and that honestly, it's a bit like being in a trap. It's a bit like being trapped, either in your home or in your circumstances or in your own discomfort in your surroundings, the temperature you have to work in. It has actually been very, very much on our minds through this whole process because, as you see, this is a fully virtual show, so all of our rehearsals have been virtual as well. And while this is wonderful and accessible, and as a result, my cast of 3 wonderful dancers are from all over the country, which is so cool that we all get to dance together. But we've all been rehearsing in our homes, and for most of us that means rehearsing with no AC. And it's been draining, both physically and mentally. You think a little slower when you're really, really hot. And so picking up material, honing in on details, your own connection with your body can be altered if you're suffering under heat. And as I said, the world's only getting hotter. And the infrastructure in place doesn't do what I think it needs to protect the individuals living in it. And we also talked a lot about how there's a lot of infrastructure specifically designed to keep certain folks and certain portions of the population in more discomfort than others. Yeah, so a lot about being hot and a lot about the feelings about being hot. My dancers have been so wonderful to work with. I feel that this piece is in collaboration with them. We did a lot of prompts based on visual words that came up in our conversations about these issues. I want to thank Erin Rogers for the incredible score you're about to hear. She's amazing. And thank you so much to Amber Percy for once again taking my crazy stream of conscious audio descriptions and helping me edit them into something that actually makes sense, or I hope it makes sense to you. Check back in after the piece. And as always, thank you to Elise Patterson for her leadership, her guidance, and connecting all of us artists to each other. Thanks for being here. I hope you enjoy, and I hope to see you in person or on a screen someday, and maybe we can chat about being hot. Thank you.
Heat Cycles, choreographed by Dara Capley, danced by Vanessa Cruz, Greenhouse, and Aiden Marshall.
Aiden, Greenhouse, and Vanessa sit on chairs in their homes, weighed down by oppressive heat. Dancers suddenly make fists in the air, faces turned away. They pull the air over their heads like a rubber band. Tracing a bead of sweat around faces, they collapse and reform, a finger pointed at foreheads. Dancers lengthen like a morning stretch, then quickly grab hands, bringing them tensely across throats. Bursting with a sudden gust of wind, they sway into a wide round shape to the right. They fall forward, a clawed hand comes in front of eyes. Clawed hand pulses sideways, dancers again collapse and reform, this time with hands in fists at their sides. They knock on the air, testing their limits in this heat. Swaying down, heavy with errands that mean sweaty commutes. They quickly reverse to face right. They blow on a hand, it hits a wall of tangible heat. They push against this invisible but highly enforced limit to their self-comfort and safety. Arms widen as they pull themselves forward. Hand traces jaw to hold back of heads. Hand climbs on top of heads like sweat beads traveling in reverse. Other hand comes in front of mouths. Dancers blow the seeds of new ideas out of their palms. Then hand traces an arch back to foreheads. Dancers deciding to follow their own instincts. Hands sharply make fists behind heads. They mime wrapping a bandage around one hand, preparing to fight, then quickly rise and scoop arms. Hands slowly stab into centers. One arm reaches down, dancers swirl to a wide shape, one hand outstretched. Again, dancers push against boundaries, folding forward. Wiping up their bodies, they rise with two fists in front of chest, pulling so wide they start to ascend, then dip bodies low to the right and slide arms against each other. They twist arms into a tight, bound shape before releasing with a sigh. As Greenhouse takes a deep breath, Aiden and Vanessa repeat movements from the past 2 minutes, out of sync with one another, this cycle of repetition weighing them down. Greenhouse digs their hands forward towards the camera, then quickly brings them in front of face, arms swinging to the left as they stand on one leg, before grinding wrists together. They drop and quickly rise, one hand hitting a wall of limitations. They hop and rotate, arms digging through soil. They hit a wall again, energy releases, and they settle back into the repetitive cycle with Vanessa and Aiden. Vanessa wipes hands gently down her face, then pushes hands to camera, as if doing CPR on the audience. She briefly hugs herself, and then left hand swirls and swirls and swirls until meeting the right and coming into a wave motion. She threads fingertips through and back again, then releasing both above her face. Hands swirl, gathering energy, gathering wind and air, gathering ideas for a self-cooling mobility aid. Left hand pulses in front of face like seaweed as she slowly looks away from us, pulled again into a repetitive cycle with Aiden and Greenhouse. Aiden rises, palms pressing up and down like weighted scales. He shifts to one leg, arms wrapping around torso and spine undulating. Lunging right, he points up and down, pulled in two directions as self-care and capitalism pull him in different directions. Arm circles, opposite shoulder rolls back, then both arms shoot diagonally up to the left as if diving into the sky. Falling out of the dive, hands come to one hip. He kneels and circles hands around each other. Right arm circles, then arms come to right angles with hands pointed down as he rises. A maudlin scarecrow taunting you with systematic harm. He comes to one leg with arms wrapped around torso. Dancers once again find unison from states apart as they face forward and wrap arms ending in fists around themselves. Shifting left, back of hands touch as they round forward, backs like turtles, then rotate right. Left hand pointer finger forcibly guides faceless back to the left, then circles and uncomfortably stabs the right arm. Arms circle and come in front of faces, seeking shade and protection. Arms sharply pulls open, their willingness to push through heat crumbling. They collapse and reform with hands overhead, rotating as they ponder improved mental health served alongside extreme heat sensitivity. Arms sweep right. Flinging a hand to the right, they drop, making fists as if catching something. Fists stir at chest, limbs flick, they sharply grab with both hands, arms wide. Hands come to jagged angles as they face front, palms facing camera. Hands flick like clock hands glitching, longing to rewind time. Arm circles, then hand grabs throat, dancers trapped. Exhaustion pulls dancers down with hands stuck in midair. Lengthening left, they twist. Hands sharply make fists in front of faces. Hands rub as dancers drop. Thumbs jut out from fists, a mockery of positivity, then stab foreheads and chests. Thumbs travel in opposition up and down their centers, elbows sharply widen. Dancers move in a soft wave, hands settle in front of face, one on top. Hands softly switch as dancers rise and sink, self-soothing. Tension returns as they grip left fist. Breathing deep, they twist. They rotate with hands splayed. So many choices, none of them comfortable. Arms suddenly open and come above heads in a curve. Lower body flicks, bodies move in a wave. Heel of hand lands on forehead. Hands snake around heads as dancers grow tall, hand wrapping to awkwardly grab their cheeks, gazing at change out of reach. They unwind, heavily drop, heel of hand returns to forehead. Slightly bowed forward, they slowly, smoothly rotate, forced through this cycle as hand twitches with unexpressed rage. In a profile to the left, bodies wave and hands pull out truth from mouths with a tug. Hands come to ears, listening to their intuition, listening to each other as they again slowly, smoothly rotate. Facing diagonally left, hands wipe down to pluck expectations placed by others off chests. Bodies roll and hands placed down in front as if on a small table. On this small table, dancers see the details of structural oppression laid clear. They rebel, showing us movements from earlier in this work, but now free from constraints. Dancers tell us what pieces of this system of choreography make them feel free and move almost chaotically in their energy to show us. They leave behind the pieces of this cycle they do not need, and rejecting systems of harm, they find euphoria in movement despite the heat. Settling heavily into their seats, they suddenly grab the air like the very beginning. This time they turn to the fist as it slowly unfurls, seeing truth and hope in their palms. Fingertips lead hand down to slowly circle the arm, showing us vulnerable palms. Starting at the shoulder, opposite hand traces down arm to find palms pressed diagonally right, then suddenly fling both arms back as they twist left. Arms circle, they untwist to face front, hands in front of stomach and chest. Tension returns, elbows hit outward against constraints, quickly bringing two fists under chin, shoulders high with unsustainable tension. Head slips out as splayed hands remain midair. Elbows wide, they sit upright with hands clasped on the high diagonal. Left hand pushes against right elbow, arm waves and snakes to hold the left knee. Dancers peek under the arm at Utopia, then unwind to sit upright. One last time, gripping the air in a fist. They slowly turn and look at the fist, realizing the cycle continues despite their fatigue.
Hi, I'm Leslie Taub, choreographer of Concentric Truths, which begins in ancient Mesopotamia and continues into the present day. Although it is set in the land we know as Iraq, it really could depict cycles of violence that have devastated cultures and ecology throughout today's Middle East, including in parched and famished Palestine. I was initially inspired by a family member who returned to Iraq some 20 years after having served there as part of an occupying American military. And he described witnessing patterns of trauma that he had experienced in a context of war and deep moral injury. But these same patterns now being perpetuated by climate crises and resource scarcity. I began to research the environmental impacts of war and colonial extraction, and ended up being most compelled by stories from the Iraqi wetlands of the resurgence of these sort of symbolic animals who, despite all odds, are finding ways to survive and thrive again. Concentric Truths, choreographed by Leslie Taub, danced by Blake Campbell, Josie Levy, Kate O'Day, and Joshua Swift. We begin in what was once Mesopotamia, cradle of civilization, birthplace of modern agriculture, thriving home to hundreds of species of plants and animals. Centuries ago, Mesopotamia stretched generously around the Tigris and Euphrates rivers, encompassing parts of present-day Iran, Syria, Lebanon. At its heart, the land we call Iraq. Two figures move stealthily through a desert carved from desiccated wetland. Our guide takes a long, low step to quick tiptoe repeats. A wary veteran follows, small heel-toe steps and rigid angled posture, scanning under shade of crooked arm. Guide spins, tilts, glides low again. Veteran raises their cane like a gun, while guide sweeps one arm in an outward arc. Here, veteran refuses, arm tight across chest. But history is potent magic. Veteran and guide are pulled backwards,
2 dancers join them, all 4 moving in chorus, stepping pitched back, elbows almost in line with shoulder blades, 4-step pulls, then each circling themselves. Each movement leads further from the present. Dancers contract, unfurl, draw memory circles with a wrist, an ankle, hands twining. Memories deeper than clashes over resources, past colonial military occupation, longer than decades' war of attrition between neighbors. Here, ghosts of birdsong. Here, the first maps. They cover eyes with forearms as they circle their heads, drop their arms as their bodies make circular vibrations like bells just rung, ringing, ringing, gaining speed, gaining speed. They rock wildly, off balance, back, forth, now side to side. Stop, draw in, reach one arm in a spiral, wrist flexed to grasp, draw clenched fist to chest. Reach in the opposite direction, grasp, clench. The dancers hinge diagonally toward us, all in high release. They slide into new ancient forms. Falcon rises, wings and chest lifting, spiraling as wings beat. Panther crouches, half pouncing. Veteran becomes snake, curving up and over cane, slithering, coiling, while guide embodies the land itself in a time of plenty, swaying, fluid. Falcon makes way for gazelle, leaping on crutches, mischievous borees. When did humans turn from cultivation to devastation? Gazelle leaps, snake strikes, panther explores with one paw. Panther returns first to present-day dancer, makes a deep C shape, back rounded, knees bent, arms arching over lowered head, palm out. Others join her. They release. 3 standing dancers hinge outward, back legs straight, weight on bent front leg. 4 dancers open arms, then clench. They shift, trembling, into recent history, dark years of constraint, trapped by violence, tremoring, struggling to breathe air that burns their lungs. Our veteran truly emerges now. This is the time they remember. Bombs, toxic fire pits, oil spilled to thwart adversaries' advance. Around veteran, dancers rise on tiptoes. 2 clasp their hands at their throats. 1 braces on forearm crutches. All lift their heads, fall forward into lunge. Veteran has risen too and steps right, torso pointed toward their right leg as they drag their left leg in. Step, drag, reverse. The chorus continues. Rise, fall, repeat, circling. They join veteran. Step, drag, step, drag. Veteran centers themselves. 1 hand on their cane, 1 arm flat at their side. They contract their core and turn arm, palm out, deepen over, then push their thighs down till they crumple into seated stillness. Other dancers resume constrained shapes, only to burst free, fully realizing the dreams or spirits of their ancient avatars. Panther lunges and swipes. Guide sweeps, then sinks. Falcon soars. Veteran slowly begins to breathe, uncurling spine, vertebrae by vertebrae. Sharply, they echo the snake's strike. Other dancers disappear. Veteran sits tall, stands taller, briefly rises onto the balls of their feet. Alone on screen, veteran looks around in wonder and fear. They touch their temples, eyes, stomach, heart. They reach left, right, front, behind. Guide reappears. Guide and veteran turn. In profile, each extends one leg front, pointed toes touching ground. Around them, others appear in the same pose. Together, all step through so their opposite legs extend as they pivot. Step forward, through, pivot, repeat, repeat. Guide leads the chorus in reaching, stretching, gathering time and space in wide arms, morphing from reach to reach. Each dancer reaches a little differently. Veterans reaching, grasping from their heart. Guide and chorus gesture softly upward, wrists beckoning as forearms roll out, roll in, torsos undulating. Veteran follows. But guide and chorus begin to push away. They turn their backs to veteran, who reaches again in pleading spiral as the others walk away. Guide and chorus stand silent, facing back after a long moment. They look over their shoulders at veteran, who traces tears with fingertips before covering eyes, yet still stands upright, fist clenched over cane. 3 dancers return, stepping purposefully to face future forward. Veteran uncovers their eyes. Together, 4 dancers smile, slowly raise their arms over their heads, twist their torsos right as they lower arms and place hands on waists as if linked in traditional dabka or chobi dance. Seated or standing, each extends right foot forward, flexed, heel out, switch and repeat, faster, faster as footwork builds. Dancers solo. Blake, our falcon and gazelle. Josie, proud panther. Kate, our guide through today's tale. And finally, Joshua, our veteran. Everyone opens out at once into triumphant second position, knees open, arms wide.
Thank you for joining us. To discover more, you can check out New York City Dabka online on Insta at NYCDABKE, as well as Boston Dabka Troupe on Insta and TikTok at Boston DABKE TROUPE. And finally, Dancers for Palestine at dancersforpalestine.wordpress.com. Thank you. Thank you so much for watching our 2025 Branches production. I hope that you had a wonderful experience engaging with this work, that you were able to question assumptions, to reimagine new ways of existing, moving, and being in the world, and how we can take climate justice and disability justice forward in our work and communities as we continue in this path. And while this work was funded by Liberty Mutual Foundation, we do rely on the support of community like you to continue this amazing work that we do in our efforts to try to equitably pay our artists and administrators as much as possible, given that funding cuts and funding shifts have greatly changed the nature of our organization. So if you are interested in donating, please go to abilitiesdanceboston.org/donate for more information. And if you aren't able to give, please just share the work with your communities. Follow on our socials at Abilities Dance Boston. Sign up for a newsletter on our website to stay informed of our events and upcoming work that we have coming on. And just continue to bring the message and the energy of this work into your spaces. Thank you again to everyone who made this show and this work possible. Until our next show, which is actually November 7th, which will feature the music of Ability Dance Boston. It is a music only show. That is right. There is no dance in this show. It is just music to highlight the work of Erin Rogers, of past composer Robert Gross, and Andrew Cho, our director of music, who is putting these pieces together from past years of Ability shows to make sure that we are really emphasizing the multidisciplinary element of our work and to have a really great time. So you can go on our website, abilitiesdanceboston.org/events for more information on that and to go ahead and register your ticket today. That is an in-person only show, but there will be a recording coming soon after. Stay in touch. Email us and let us know your thoughts and reflections and feelings. And above all, keep this work going in your communities and beyond. Thank you.